is the last battle on the British soil,
Yeah.
and generally speaking, the Scots lost to the British forces. So Bonnie Prince Charlie, he escaped back over the sea to Skye and arrived back in Italy, because he was Italian, in late 1547, and it was the last Stuart chance of gaining back the British crown that they'd lost when George I became king in 1714.
That's really interesting. Very interesting. I'm sure a lot of you out there are sort of thinking, wow, I didn't know that. And some of you are thinking, well, I knew that already. So what actually inspired you to write the book?
Well, we do live in fantastically interesting islands, whether it's the British Isles, which covers the Republic of Ireland and the Channel Islands, or whether it's just England or Scotland or Wales or Northern Ireland, which is 100 years old this month, that it gives you an idea of what you might think. I want to know more about the country I live in. We can all go to America or Australia, but we can never really understand the people because we don't live there, whereas we should understand where we live.
Yeah, I totally agree, because I'm one of these people. I love travelling. If we're going to go away, I do love travelling going somewhere in the UK, somewhere local.
Yeah.
Yeah. As a child, we went to Wales and Devon a lot. I just enjoy seeing the scenery and the greenery, what have you. And now we like going to other places in the UK. I'm not going to say exactly where, but we just thoroughly enjoy going to the UK. And if I had the choice of 2 holidays, I'd go to one in the UK and then one abroad, because there's just something different. It's just something special about being in the UK and actually absorbing what's around you and appreciating what's around you, and also the history of what's around you. So I totally agree with that. So how long did it take you to write the book?
10 years.
10 years?
Yes, but really? It takes that long. Well, you can't, go around every single week. You've got to go somewhere. And when you do go somewhere, I do think that you have to stay and absorb and have a look and everything like that. If you really want to go to all the points, then it really does take an awful long time to travel the whole of the British Isles. When you're travelling by public transport, it means a ferry, a bus or a train.
Yeah, and I think that that's what makes the book special, because you can actually see that you actually, one, know what you're talking about, and two, because you've been there, you've actually done it. So you can actually say with confidence, no, you can get here via this, that, or what have you. And it's the way that you say, where you can. Do you know what I mean? So whereabouts can you purchase this book?
Well, it's online, it's on Amazon, but I would say I'm just here to give you and your listeners an idea of where they might explore, rather than spend £19.99 on my book.
Oh, really? That's very kind of you.
So it's more an idea of what to look for. I do get lots of feedback. People tell me how expensive it is to travel by train, which isn't true, of course, right? Because if you've got yourself a rail card, your children can go for about £1, depending on where you're going to. You can go for a third off the fare. If you haven't got a rail card, but there's 3 of you or more, you can get a group save ticket. So there's an awful lot of ways that you can reduce the cost of travelling by public transport. And the best one, particularly in the United Kingdom, is, generally speaking, not to fly.
Really? Yeah. I found that, I think it must have been just before lockdown, I was enjoying having that rail card, because I could see the difference. Because sometimes when you're travelling, then you've got to pay X amount for one child, X amount for another. But when you've got the rail card, like you say, you only pay £1. So it makes a huge, huge difference. So it's an encouragement for you listeners out there, if you're thinking of going on, for instance, if you're thinking of going on a day trip and you don't want to be out for too long, especially with the current situation, where would you suggest?
If you're in southwest London, you should go to the Isle of Wight.
Oh, really?
Yes, because the Isle of Wight is easy, depending on which way you want to go. There's a wide variety of routes to the Isle of Wight. But one, for example, is Southampton. Take the train to Southampton. Right outside Southampton station, there's a bus that takes you to Red Funnel Ferry Terminal, and that's where you can go from there to the Isle of Wight. And your youngsters will love the idea of travelling by train and travelling on a bus and travelling on a ferry to the Isle of Wight, with particularly Southampton to Cowes,
Yeah.
it's a very busy sea lane. So
Yeah.
there's going to be other ships to see, other ferries to see. There'll be lots, and lots of these ferries have cafes on board. So I would say get yourself to the Isle of Wight, and even if you just walk from one of the ferry terminals to the other ferry terminal, you're going to have an adventure.
Brilliant, some brilliant advice there. So, yeah, if you're thinking of travelling, you may want to go to the Isle of Man, or the Isle of Wight, should I say?